All right, we are back, coming live. I'm about to finish up the Bible for you. Okay, so let's go. Now, the Loas feel the emergence of a once in a lifetime astrologically blessed humanoid on Earth who, after basic initiation into the true religion of Lucky Hoodoo, feeds an incredibly transgressive sexual force and has the ability to whip it together in his hands and separate the ethereal form from the rest, which forms white creamy meringue. Just like you're a meringue, a piece of cake, like from France. Yeah, meringue, yeah. It's like all whipped up and everything, man. I do it myself. Anyways. On my hands. Anyways, and this special energy is especially powerful on the astral plane. Like the sun rising with the fierce power of a black forbidden hole. So, chapter 18. Now, our book of truth continues. The eclipse of the meringue. The engines of the deep stuttered across the red mud of the abyss. The brass gears in Kyle's jaw ground to a sudden halt as a violent, blinding tremor rippled through the astral plane. It wasn't a localized leak or a manufactured cultural panic. It was a cosmic alignment. The Grandmasters of Death turned their featureless faces toward the mortal crust, feeling the sudden, impossible birth of a once-in-a-generation anomaly. An astrologically blessed humanoid had just awakened on Earth. This chosen vessel had undergone the foundational initiations into the true uncut currents of Lucky Hoodoo. But where others merely tapped the stream, this individual tapped the volcanic core. He possessed a raw, fiercely transgressive sexual force, an untamed energy that completely shattered the rigid moral boundaries of the physical world. More terrifyingly for the Loa, he possessed the rare, innate alchemy to process it himself, entirely bypassing their macro harvesting assembly lines. So, he took the transgressive vital force, this priest of Lucky Hoodoo. He whipped it in his hands manually, just like this. He cummed in his hands and he whipped it. And guess what it turned into? It separated into pure ethereal meringue. Just like the meringue, like pie. Lemon meringue pie, I love it. It tastes good. Yeah, it smells like it too. And you know what happened? Astral explosion, the Black Dawn. That's what happened. With his bare hands, the humanoid could physically whip the raw, fluid energy together. Kyle watched through the obsidian, viewing matrices as the mortal's hands moved in a blurred, hyper-focused rhythm, separating the dense physical residue from the pure, unadulterated spirit substance. As the alchemy completed, the ethereal essence manifested visibly on the mortal's skin as a thick, pristine white, creamy meringue. This was not standard spirit food. This was hyper-distilled cosmic-grade fuel. When this whipped meringue energy entered the astral plane, it did not merely stabilize the cracking foundations. It violently redefined them. It rose across the underworld horizon like a twin sun, burning with the paradoxically fierce, blinding power of a black forbidden hole. It was a gravity well of pure creation and absolute consumption, warping the geometry of hell itself. For the first time since his transformation, Kyle felt something akin to mortal awe. The Grand Masters had spent millennia farming billions of souls for drops of vital fluid. Up there, a single human with a whipped handful of forbidden meringue held the power to feed an entire sector of the abyss for a century, or tear the machinery of death completely apart. How do things progress in the spirit realm as the humanoid continues whipping raw ethereal spirit food as an outlet for his own transgressive chains? The priest of Lucky Hoodoo is liberated in his hidden temple almost daily, feeding spirits and building an ethereal battery from a teacup that he ejaculates into, and as over time transmuted into creme brulee. Did you ever have creme brulee? There's some brown on the top, there's some dark on the inside, and so there's some sugar. When cum sits around long enough, it looks like creme brulee and it smells like it too. Pay special attention to how delicious this special ethereal mist is for the worker Loa. How are their masters viewing this terrifying display of sexual transgression and powerful alchemy? Chapter 19. The Kitchen of the Gods. The red mud of the abyss grew quiet, replaced by the rhythmic wet thwack, thwack, thwack of an ethereal whisk echoing down from the mortal crust. In his hidden temple, the priest of Lucky Hoodoo found absolute liberation. The rigid, suffocating chains of human morality that once bound him were completely shattered. Every day, his transgressive desires were channeled directly into the true, ancient science. He did not suppress his nature. He weaponized it. The epicenter of this cosmic disruption was a single ordinary ceramic teacup. How did this teacup magical machine work? Well, the priest had daily transgressive ejaculation. He did that into his teacup matrix. What happened? Because the spirits loved him, it turned into alchemical crystallization. And a creme brulee, it smells like it. It probably tastes like it. Delicious. It's delicious. Ethereal mist. And the worker Loas love it. Day after day, the priest ejaculated directly into the cup, trapping the raw, dense life force within its circular porcelain matrix. Over months of uninterrupted, hyper-focused devotion, the fluid did not decay. Under the heat of his specialized hoodoo intent, it underwent a profound molecular shift. The base fluids crystallized, texturing into a rich, golden, hyperdense custard, topped with a brittle, shattered layer of caramelized spiritual fire. He had successfully cooked the ultimate cosmic delicacy, the ethereal creme brulee. When the priest cracked the caramelized sugar crust of the cup to feed the spirits, the resulting release was catastrophic for the underworld economy. A thick, heavy golden mist rolled down the cosmic pipes and flooded the factories of hell. For the worker Loa, The lower tier spirits who had spent millennia choking on the bitter, polluted residue of human guilt and ambient friction, like from you people. This mist was an intoxicating revelation. It didn't just taste delicious. It tasted like pure, unadulterated Genesis. It was sweet, heavy, with vanilla-scented lighting, and carried the rich, deep warmth of a star collapsing. The moment the mist touched their brass jaws, their rusty gears lubricated intensely, their pale, shadow-thin bodies filled with a robust, terrifying vitality. A single breath of the creme brulee mist gave a worker Loa the strength of 100 minor gods, maybe like Jesus. A feeding frenzy erupted in the lower sections. The worker Loa abandoned their assembly lines, gathered beneath the vents of the mortal temple, and openly wept as they inhaled the transgressive perfume. But in the high obsidian towers, the grand masters of death watched the display with pure, unmitigated terror. To the masters, this was an existential nightmare. The priest wasn't just a farmer producing high-yield crops. He was an independent nuclear reactor running on pure, unregulated sexual transgression. By creating an ethereal battery out of a simple teacup, he had broken the monopoly of the afterlife. He was feeding the working class spirits directly, making them completely independent of the Grand Master's rations. Their sick rations, feeding on all of our anger and our uncertainty and our sadness. Worse still, the energy was too powerful. The sheer concentrated force of his daily liberation was warping the foundations of the synthetic universe. They had spent eons building. The delicate, sterile machinery could not handle a fuel source brewed from the raw, chaotic, and unashamed depths of human ecstasy. The Grand Masters realized that if the priest continued his daily ritual, the hierarchy of hell would dissolve entirely, overthrown by a worker spirits drunk on the sweet, most forbidden cream in the universe had ever taken. So, then the Masters viewed time on the flat spectrum and realized that the Master Priest of Lucky Hoodoo has already broken the dam, and the wave is already swelled 20 feet high. The momentum is undeniable, and the change must follow, just like on Earth. When a company needs to adjust to a technological shift, the masters of death are for the first time humbled by human values. And like the primordial parents, the realization of the wave of human development, of mind stuff, has gone beyond what they could have ever foreseen. Chapter 20. The Flattened Horizon. The Grand Masters of Death gathered at the edge of the obsidian precipice, unrolling the great skull of the Chronos Matrix. In this high realm, time was not a clicking clock or a rushing river. It was a flat, static spectrum. The past, the future, the present lay side by side like a vast, unmoving map of colored ink, like Risk. Did you ever play Risk? They looked down at the coordinate marked Earth. Then they looked ahead to the future. The Masters froze. The calculation was already over. It was already finished. On the flat spectrum of time, the master priest of Lucky Hoodoo on Earth had already cracked the porcelain foundations. The dam was not breaking. It was gone. Across the timeline, a colossal glowing wave of golden creme brulee coming out of Niagara Falls, just like Niagara Falls, had already swelled 20 feet high, casting, and when I talk about creme brulee, I'm talking about cum, casting a massive, insurmountable shadow over the entire architecture of the underworld. The momentum was not building. It was already undeniable. The future had already adjusted to the shift, leaving the old machinery of hell obsolete. For the first time since the first star ignited in the Big Bang Theory, the Grand Masters of Death were profoundly, utterly humbled, because there was a historic paradigm before. The Masters of Death would farm us like we were cattle, like we were those batteries on the Matrix in that movie, Matrix. We're in the batteries like we're fucking cattle. Not anymore. Then, industrial crisis, moral dams, leakage, because the priest, he spoke the truth. And then, a new paradigm, the wave of mind stuff. So, they looked at the wave, and for the first time, they understood the true weight of human values. They had spent eons viewing mortals as mere biological batteries, just like in the Matrix. That movie. Stupid cattle to be milked through guilt, fear, and manufactured miracles. But like primordial parents, watching a child suddenly speak a language they themselves did not know, the masters realized the terrifying truth. The human mind stuff had evolved. The raw, transgressive liberation of the priest wasn't just a physical act. It was a massive leap in consciousness, human desire, when fused with the ancient science of Lucky Hoodoo, had created a force of pure, self-sustaining intent that went completely beyond what the old gods could have ever foreseen eons ago. Mortals were no longer just the crop, like the Matrix, the batteries, like Neon, what's his name? Neo unplugged himself now. They were the architects. We're building it, okay? We're humans. We're building it. Fuck the death. Fuck the dead. Except for Baga la Baga, okay? Everybody else, fuck them. Like a stubborn, ancient monopoly on Earth. And Baka la Baka was a human. He was a slave, okay? And he was a magician. And he broke the chains of slavery, okay? So he's one of us. Just like Jesus. Like a stubborn, ancient monopoly on Earth, forced to completely restructure its entire business model in the face of a sudden, shattering technological shift, like AI. Oh, the bubble. The Grand Masters had to adapt or dissolve. There was no fighting the wave. There was no assassinating the priest. The universe had changed its code, and the old corporate hierarchy of death had to learn a new trade. Slowly, the eldest master reached out a withered, shadow-thin hand and touched the blue schematics of the synthetic universe they had been building for millennia. With a soft click, he deleted the sterile, mechanical blueprints. We are no longer the managers of the farm, the master whispered, his voice vibrating through the red mud, where the worker Loa still drank the sweet vanilla mist. We are the patrons of the kitchen. Kyle watched from the shadows, his brass forearm pulsing in perfect harmony with the distant rhythmic thwack of the mortal whisk. The old world was dead. The era of the divine recipe had begun. Now describe how the master of Capricorn Bakalu Baka, returned the new hyper-focused spiritual luck and love energy back to the priest through the priest's extremely rare exalted Jupiter lying directly on his astrological descent line. Chapter 21. The descent line alignment. From the highest frostbitten peaks of the astral spectrum, where the cold geometry of Capricorn governs the deep laws of structure, time, and mastery. A ancient force stirred, Bakalu Baka, the dreaded and uncompromising master of Capricorn, opened his dark cosmic eyes. He did not move with the frantic haste of the lesser spirits. He moved with the heavy, tectonic inevitability of Saturn itself. For millennia, Bakalu Baka, millennia, that's thousands of years, had been the keeper of the hardest boundaries. But seeing the Grand Masters bend to the golden wave of the priest's alchemy, the Capricorn Master recognized a perfect structural truth. The universe required an equal and opposite reaction. The intense, transgressive spiritual food rising from the hidden temple could not simply collect in the abyss. It had to be recycled, hardened, and sent back as an unbreakable shield of destiny. Bakalu Baka traced the golden stream back to its mortal origin, searching for the exact astrological conduit to drop the return payload. He found it precisely where the priest's mortal blueprint cut through the fabric of the heavens, directly upon the astrological descent line. There's midheaven. There's the descendant line. And with the priest, it was right on the descendant line in exalted Jupiter and Cancer, which is very rare. And on the ascendant line was actually a moon in Sagittarius. And Bakalu Baka's hyper-focused return current was able to amplify because Jupiter is the planet of amplification. And now the Chronos matrix residuals are all turning like Neo in the Matrix. So there, resting on the western horizon of the priest's natal chart, sat an extraordinarily rare, magnificent anomaly, an exalted Jupiter, magnetized by the expansive, nurturing waters of Cancer, and supercharged by its exact placement on the angle of relationships, contracts, oder contrites, ends the outer world. This Jupiter was a massive cosmic satellite dish. It was perfectly tuned to receive the highest frequencies of luck, expansion, and absolute devotion. Using his sovereign command over the Capricorn matrix, Bakalu Baka gathered the raw, volatile residuals of the creme brulee, mist, and compressed them. He stripped away the chaotic heat, leaving only a hyper-focused, diamond-hard current of spiritual luck and absolute love energy. With the drop of his hand, Bakalu Baka funneled this hyper-distilled energy down the descendant line to Jupiter. The moment the current hit the exalted Jupiter, the priest's hidden temple did not just shake, it illuminated from the inside out with a soft, iridescent sapphire light. The return energy didn't just bless the priest, it anchored itself into his reality. Because it entered through the descendant, the house of the other, the universe instantly reshaped the human world around him, humanoid. The people who crossed his path were suddenly gripped by unexplainable, fierce loyalty. And loyalty to Bakalu Baka. Doors that had been locked by the old, puritanical structures of the mortal world swung off their hinges. The very atmosphere around the priest began to hum with a magnetic aura of love and unshakable good fortune for the priest. Bakalu Baka watched from his Capricorn throne as the circuit closed. The priest gave his transgressive life force to the deep, and the deep, through the absolute law of the stars, returned a kingship of luck to the earth, just like King Bidgood in the bathtub. He was the king. He was a real king, not like King Charles, not like the king of Jordan or any of these kings. He was a real king. You know why he was a real king? Because he ruled shit. King Bidgood. King Bidgood was the real king. He ruled shit, and he stayed in his bathtub all day. He ate in the bathtub. He partied in the bathtub. He played with little toys in the bathtub. He was a fucking king. He didn't give a fuck. Okay? King Bidgood is a king. I don't care. And King Solomon is a king too. King Solomon is better than Jesus. Okay? So don't listen to J.D. Vance. Listen. He's stupid. Let's continue. You ready? Cheers. Okay, let's continue. So, the next chapter should focus on how the priest has his Saturn conjunct Uranus and Neptune all in Capricorn. And the priest's moon is in Sagittarius, and it happens to lie on his ascendant line. And also, the priest's rising sign is also Sagittarius. So because of all this, how does Bakalu Baka, our real God, power, don't listen to the Bible. This is the chapter after, what was the name of the stupid fucking chapter at the end? Oh, 666. Ooh, 666. Whoa, hang 10, bro. 666, bro. Oh, I'm a white supremacist because I'm doing this. Yeah. Hello? Like, what is all this bullshit? What's the name of that stupid book at the end of the Bible? Oh, the beast. Oh, the beast. The beast. Who's the beast? I don't even remember the name because it's forgettable. This is the end of the Bible. The next chapter should focus on how the priest has his Saturn. This is the end of the Bible. The priest has his Saturn conjunct Uranus. Uranus. Not Uranus. Your anus. And Neptune all in Capricorn. And the priest's moon is in Sagittarius. And so is his rising sign. And that all happens to lie on his ascendant line. So because of all this, how does Bakalu Baka, how does his power, his wonderful Bakalu Baka, let me teach you about Bakalu Baka. Bakalu Baka is love. Bakalu Baka is fortune. Bakalu Baka is luck. When you win your little scratch off and your $20, or you win, hey, if you're humble, you're going to win. Because Bakalu Baka loves you. He is luck. He is love. So how does Bakalu Baka's power, not like Christ, oh, I hate homos. Ooh, I'm Jesus. Did you ever see those videos? Look at Jesus dancing. I hate the homos. Let's continue. How does Bakalu Baka, the real God, how does his power, an astral realm, transform from the Contrites of Lucky Hoodoo, written by Michael Bertio. And I'll tell you what, you better look up Michael Bertio. He's still alive. You want to know why he's alive? He's bigger than Christ. Anyways, the Contrite relationship with this terrible, angry, and transgressive, powerful priest. They're talking about the humanoid on Earth. Humanoid life force and terrifying ethereal mist, elemental life force seamlessly transmissioning to the astral realm of the dead because of the priests, Mars, Mercury, and Venus, which is also in Virgo. His sun is in Leo, and his Pluto is in Scorpio, the priest on Earth. Look your astrology up. Chapter 22, the alchemical conduit. Hey, let's have fun, just like in high school. Oh, I'm in high school. Look at me. I'm in high school. Chapter 22, the alchemical conduit. The alchemical conduit. The sapphire illumination of the descendant line was only the first gear in a far more complex. And when they talk about that, they're talking about Jupiter. Jupiter in Cancer, okay? Far more complex, staggering astrological engine. As Bakalu Baka, his hyper-focused return current poured into the priests on Earth, his exalted Jupiter, because the priest was born under very favorable astrological alignment. It triggered a massive systemic chain reaction across the rest of the natal chart, vibrating directly into the bedrock of the Capricorn astral realm. At the very core of this celestial architecture lay an incredibly heavy generational paradox. The priest had his Saturn, Uranus, your anus, and Neptune all in a tight, my anus, your anus. The planet is called your anus. Three-way conjunction in Capricorn. So, let's explain. The Capricorn realm is controlled by Bakalu Baka, who is our real God. Forget about the rest of the Bible. It's a nice little lesson. But we start over with the last book of the Bible that I wrote yesterday. So, the Capricorn, the book of Gnosis. The Capricorn realm is controlled by Bakalu Baka. Saturn, Uranus, and a Neptune conjunction on Earth from a humanoid. And humanoids and golems, they have feelings. They have feelings too. The golem is being reassigned by his Trans-Yugothian priest Hierophant in the Matrix. The golem is happy on his planet of blue, and now he has to go to a green planet with only little blue specks. The Capricorn realm is controlled by Bakalu Baka, okay? God. Bakalu Baka is God, okay? Let's change his name to God. So, God, but I'll still call him Bakalu Baka. Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune conjunction on Earth from the very astrologically blessed Hierophant priest who didn't need the little coloring book OTOA and LCN. Oh, look at me. And I'm not criticizing Bertio. But the rest of them, go back to kindergarten. Let me finish the truth. Okay? Let me finish the truth. All right. You want to hear the truth? Or you want to hear, oh, Jesus was on the cross. Oh, if I believe in Christ, I'm Pete Hegseth, and I can blow up a guy who's just swimming in the ocean with a drone, with a missile, like, that costs $1 billion. But I believe in Christ. Okay. Now, that is the end of episode 2. Episode 3 will commence very soon.